Now, once this is done, next we'll have to create a subnet for the RDS. So in order to create the subnet for the RDS, I'll go to my database. So here under this database, let's go to the, I'll go over here, guys. I'll select my RDS. Here we'll go ahead and we'll create a DB subnet group. So I'll say create a DB subnet group over here. So I've just went inside my RDS, selected the subnets on the left hand side, and then I'll create this button which says create DB subnet group. And this we would actually use it for launching the DB, that is my database, in a private subnet. Next, here in the screen under the subnet group details, I'll mention my name. I would say RDS AZ is BG. Okay, it's a subnet group that I'm creating. So I would say subnet group for RDS multi AC. Now for the VPC, I'm going to select my VPC. Now for the subnet availability zone, I'll select my US East 1 and 1A and 1B. For the subnets, I'm going to choose the subnets which we have created last time. I'll choose the subnets so that we had created earlier. So I'll just go ahead and do this. So here we've got 1, 2, and 3. So if I remember correctly, 1 is actually a public one, and the 2 and 3 are actually the private one. So I have selected 2 and 3 as a subnets. Okay, these are the private subnets which I'm assigning. And once it's done, I'm going to create this. So this has successfully created the subnet group for my database. Now, once this is done, we will now go ahead and we will launch the EC2 instance. So as you might have clearly seen, this time to help you get the complete idea, we are building everything from scratch. So we have configured the network, we have configured our VPC and then subnet, we have created the internet gateway, route table, and after that, we have also created the security groups from our side as per our requirement with our own VPC. And we have also created the DB subnet group as well. Now I'll just go ahead. I'm going to launch my EC2 instance. So I'll be requiring this EC2 for performing my hardware simulation test. So I'll go ahead and I'll launch my instance. So I'll start by selecting my Linux to AMI. We'll use t2.micro. Okay. Next, I'll configure my instance details. Now, this is important for network. This time use my VPC. Okay, so I've selected my own VPC. And for the subnet, so I'll select my public subnet, that is my public subnet which we have, and I'll auto assign public IP as enabled. Okay, for IAM role, I'll just select the IAM role which is already created, which I have already created earlier. And this has the CloudWatch access, guys. That's it. This has the overall access to my CloudWatch. Now, once this IAM role has been assigned, okay, I'll click on this add storage. Now, after that, I'm going to add the tag. I'll use the default values as it is. So next, I'm going to add a tag which says as EC2 demo, configure the security group. Now I'll select from the existing, and I would say EC2 server security group. This is the one that we have created last time, and I'll select this right here. Next, review and launch. Launch will download a new key pair once it has been downloaded. So I'm going to launch the instance. Okay, so here I'm going to just copy this instance ID for my future reference. Okay, this is my EC2 instance ID. Now, next I'll click on this view instances. Currently it is pending to be initialized. Okay, next what I'm going to do right now is I'll go ahead and I'll create a RDS database instance. In order to create my RDS database instance, I'll start my RDS instance. Now, once I start this RDS, here we'll create this RDS instance with multi-availability zone enabled, that is in 2 availability zone. So here I'll create a database. Now here we have to mention the required details for us to create a MySQL database. I'll use the standard create, and for the engine option, I'll use the MySQL engine. Next, for the edition, I'll use the default edition. Okay, I'll just come down, and here for the templates, I'll use it as dev/test. That is the template that I'll be using. And under my availability and durability, I'll select the deployment option which says as multi-AZ DB instance. Now, once this is done, I'll come over here under my settings. I'll mention my DB instance identifier to database-1. Master username, I'll keep the default username as admin. I'll mention my master password as admin123. So just remember, you are not supposed to share it since it's a demo session. I'm just sharing it with you, but these are all the credentials, guys. Now, once this is done, once we specify the master password, so we'll have to mention the DB instance class. So I'll select this burstable classes, okay, and I'll select this default one, which is mentioned as t3.micro. And under the storage, we can mention the storage type. So it says option like provisioned IOPS SSD allocated 100 and everything. So I'm going to disable this storage auto scaling, and I'll leave the remaining settings as it is. Under the connectivity, I'm going to choose my VPC which we have created, and public access, I'll have to ensure it as no. And for the VPC security group, I'll mention my VPC security group, that is my RDS AZ, which we had created earlier. So this is my RDS group that I've created earlier, that is my security group. Next, I'll just come down, and the database port is 3306. I'm okay for that. And okay, I'll just go ahead and I'll create the database. So this is going to create a database, guys. I'll just go ahead and create it again. It looks like it was not succeeded. So we'll create a MySQL. It's multi availability zone database instance. And database 1, database password, burstable classes. I'll not enable auto scaling. I'll keep the remaining values as it is. For VPC, we'll select the VPC that we have created. And for the subnet group, it is the subnet group. Okay, now once this is done, yes, so template is dev test. I've seen this. And for the VPC security groups, I'll use my RDS AZ. Okay, now let's validate it. Okay, now this is okay for me. Now I'll just try to create it again. Okay, so this time it got created. So this will take around 15 minutes to create it. So in the meantime, we'll go ahead and do the other activity, guys. So normally the setting up the MySQL database will take around 15 to 20 minutes. Now, the next step is we'll go ahead and we'll configure the CloudWatch metrics, and we are going to add a subscription. The question that I've got is, what was the change that you did that it worked now? I'm not sure. It could be due to some screen option. Maybe I didn't select correctly at that time, or due to a temporal issue at AWS itself. So since it's a free tier account, maybe that is the reason that I got that error. So that could be a reason. Now, the next thing is we'll go ahead and configure the CloudWatch metrics, and we are going to add a subscription. I'll go ahead and first I'll go to the CloudWatch. Now under my CloudWatch, let's create an alarm. So here for creating the alarm, I'll select my metric. Next, what I'll do here is for the resource ID, I'll copy and paste my EC2 instance, which we have used last time, which we have created a few minutes back. So I'll paste it over here. So I have selected my instance. Now we can see that says as EC2 per instance metrics. Now I'll go ahead and I'll click on this. Okay, we've got the EC2 instances. Now what I'll do right here is we can check for various metric. So one metric, let's say I'm interested in checking is system check failed. So this is the metric that I would use. Now once I select this, and I'll mention it as select metric. Now under the statistics, I'll keep it average, and for the period, instead of 5 minutes, I'll mention it as 1 minute. Next, for the threshold type, I'll keep the static as it is, and I'll set it equal to greater than or equal to, and I'll mention it as 1. Okay, and I'll click on the next button. Now here, this is going to create the notification and the recovery action for the EC2 failover. Now I'll go ahead and I'll add the notification. Let me go ahead. So here I'll create a new topic. My topic is EC2 fail alarm. You can set the endpoints that will receive the notification. I'm going to say test@example.com. So you can mention your email address, guys. So I'm just mentioning it over here. Okay. Can mention like user2@example.com. So you can just mention your email address. So this is going to trigger the email for you using this SNS notification. Now, once this is done, I will say it as create topic. This has created the topic. Now, once the create topic is completed,